Rex Ryan thought he could just go on ESPN, throw dirt on Shedeur Sanders' name, and walk away untouched. But he didn't expect this. Shedeur's mother, Pilar Sanders, has entered the fight, and her response is going viral. After Rex claimed Shedeur wasn't studying, wasn't sitting in the front row, and was basically a lazy embarrassment.
Dive into all of this. He said that the whole world could decide if he was worth all of the money. Dak was indispensable, Micah wasn't. Was Jerry's decision vindicated with the game last night?
The backlash was immediate. Fans torched Rex online. Analysts questioned his credibility. And now, Shedeur's own mother has called him out with a brutal clapback. Pilar took to Instagram and blasted Ryan, calling his energy impotent, cancerous, and envious. She didn't just defend her son. She exposed what so many people have been noticing, a disturbing media obsession with tearing Shedeur down before he's even had a chance to prove himself. Think about it. This isn't the first time. Week after week, news sources and insider reports come out questioning Shedeur's work ethic, his playbook knowledge, his commitment. And yet, when he steps on the field, the kid delivers. So why does the media keep pushing these narratives? Why does Shedeur face more scrutiny as a third-string rookie than some starting quarterbacks who are actually losing games? This story isn't just about football anymore. It's about accountability in sports media. It's about a mother protecting her son. And it's about whether Rex Ryan's reckless rant has just ended his career at ESPN. Because make no mistake, when Pilar Sanders speaks, people listen. And right now, her message is echoing across the sports world.
Via Get Up, I believe this was actually yesterday from Rex Ryan on ESPN. He actually made the case for the Browns starting a different rookie quarterback, but I don't really know that he was actually supporting Shedeur Sanders here. Let's hear what he had to say.
Rex Ryan has never been afraid of controversy. From his days coaching the Jets to his role as a talking head on ESPN, he's always thrived on being loud, bold, and brash. But this time, he may have gone too far, and it all started with one careless rant that exploded into one of the biggest controversies of the NFL season on live television. Rex looked into the camera and painted Shedeur Sanders as an arrogant rookie who wasn't putting in the work. He claimed Shedeur sat in meetings with his arms crossed, didn't sit in the front row, and wasn't studying hard enough to earn a shot. He framed Shedeur as entitled, as unprepared, as an embarrassment, words that hit far harder than he may have expected. Why? Because Rex didn't just criticize Shedeur's game.
Hello guys, it's your boy John the Liquidator coming back with another video, and it looks like Joe Flacco has sent the biggest sneak diss towards Shedeur Sanders in this whole process. Guys, for this one here, we got to go all the way up to Cleveland. Let's get it, let's go.
He attacked his character. In the NFL world, talent is one thing, but character is everything. Work ethic, discipline, preparation. These are the qualities that determine whether a young quarterback even gets a chance to compete. By suggesting that Shedeur was lazy, Rex wasn't just offering an opinion. He was potentially damaging the kid's career before it even began. And that's exactly why the backlash was so fierce. Within hours, social media lit up. Fans flooded Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, calling out Rex for his baseless attack. Where's the proof? They demanded. Who told him this? Why hasn't a single coach or teammate backed it up? It wasn't just fans either. Analysts and insiders began pushing back too. Some pointed out that Rex Ryan hasn't coached in years and doesn't have direct access to what's happening in Cleveland's facility. Others highlighted how suspicious it was that only Shedeur, not Dylan Gabriel, not Jackson Dart, not any other rookie quarterback, was being targeted by these kinds of narratives. Then came the turning point. Pilar Sanders, Shedeur's mother, entered the conversation. She didn't hold back. On Instagram, she posted a scathing message directed straight at Rex Ryan, calling his energy impotent, cancerous, and envious. She accused him of projecting his own insecurities onto a young quarterback who was simply doing his job. And she warned him, and everyone watching, that this type of smear campaign wasn't going to go unanswered. Her words hit harder than any analyst take, because they came from a place of love and protection. This wasn't about football. This was about a mother defending her son from what she saw as an unfair and damaging attack. Fans rallied behind her instantly. Her comments went viral, screenshots spreading across social media, with hashtags like #ProtectShedeur and #RexOut trending within hours. Meanwhile, inside ESPN, whispers began to spread. According to insiders, the network was not happy. Rex Ryan's rant had crossed a line, dragging ESPN into a mess that now threatened its credibility. The network has built its empire on hot takes. Yes, but this was reckless. This was damaging. And now, ESPN executives were reportedly considering punishment for Rex behind the scenes. Think about that for a second. ESPN rarely disciplines its stars publicly, but this situation was different. This wasn't Skip Bayless throwing out a wild take on Fox Sports. This was an ESPN analyst on their platform, spreading unverified claims about a young player's character, and doing so in a way that made the network look biased, even malicious. And here's the thing. This moment is bigger than Rex Ryan, bigger than Shedeur, and even bigger than ESPN. It's about a larger pattern in sports media, the way young, confident black quarterbacks are consistently held to different standards, questioned more harshly, and scrutinized in ways that others are not. That's why Pilar's defense resonated so strongly. She wasn't just standing up for her son. She was shining a light on the double standard that so many fans, players, and families have noticed for years. And once the spotlight was on, the conversation shifted, and no longer was the story about whether Shedeur was sitting in the front row of meetings. It was about ESPN's accountability. It was about media ethics. And it was about how far is too far when it comes to chasing hot takes. By the end of the week, Rex Ryan wasn't just dealing with fan backlash. He was dealing with something far more dangerous, a credibility crisis. And once that door opens in sports media, it's very hard to close it again. When the storm hit, ESPN knew they had a problem on their hands. This wasn't just a minor on-air slip-up or a throwaway comment that would fade in 24 hours. This was different. Rex Ryan's accusations about Shedeur Sanders had touched a nerve, with fans, with players, with families, and now with the public image of ESPN itself. The backlash was swift and relentless. Clips of Rex's comments were shared millions of times on social media, almost always paired with captions calling him out of touch or reckless. Fan accounts on Twitter started compiling receipts of all the times. Rex had been wrong in the past, from botched coaching decisions to questionable predictions on air. Suddenly, this wasn't just about Shedeur. It was about Rex Ryan's entire credibility as a football voice. Inside ESPN, executives began scrambling. According to insiders, emergency meetings were held to discuss the fallout. The network has always encouraged bold opinions, but this situation risked alienating a large portion of its audience. Shedeur Sanders isn't just any rookie quarterback. He's the son of Deion Sanders, one of the most beloved and influential figures in football today. To alienate the Sanders fan base was a dangerous game, and ESPN knew it. Behind the scenes, colleagues of Rex Ryan began distancing themselves from the comments. Some publicly stated that while they respect Rex, they disagreed with his assessment of Shedeur. Others went further, hinting that his take wasn't just wrong but irresponsible. For a network that thrives on personality-driven debate, this was a bad sign. When even your coworkers won't stand by your words, your standing inside the building takes a hit. Meanwhile, Pilar Sanders' fiery response continued to dominate headlines. Her choice of words, calling Rex's energy cancerous and envious, resonated with fans who felt Shedeur was being unfairly targeted. Major sports blogs picked up her comments, turning what started as a single rant into a full-blown public battle between a mother defending her son and one of ESPN's most polarizing analysts. That's when reports started surfacing. ESPN wasn't going to let this slide. Sources told outlets like Outkick and Awful announcing that Rex was under review and could face behind-the-scenes punishment. What kind of punishment? That's the part nobody knew for sure. ESPN rarely makes these disciplinary actions public, but whispers of suspensions, loss of segments, or even reduced appearances started making the rounds. And here's where things get interesting. ESPN's silence on the matter only fueled speculation. Fans began demanding answers. Was Rex Ryan going to apologize? Was ESPN going to hold him accountable? Or were they going to sweep this under the rug and hope it blew over? The longer ESPN stayed quiet, the louder the noise grew. Every sports talk show not affiliated with ESPN picked up the story, debating whether Rex had crossed a line. On YouTube and TikTok, independent creators were pulling millions of views breaking down the saga, highlighting ESPN's hesitance to respond. and framing it as proof that the network was protecting one of its own instead of protecting the integrity of the game. But here's the twist. The backlash wasn't just coming from fans. Players around the league began to notice too. A few current and former NFL athletes liked Pilar's post, subtly signaling their agreement. Others shared cryptic tweets about how certain analysts go too far when they don't actually spend time inside NFL locker rooms anymore. These small signals carried weight. When players start siding against an analyst, their credibility takes a huge hit to BY midweek. Rex Ryan found himself in a very unfamiliar position. For years, he had built his persona on being loud, brash, and unfiltered, the kind of guy who could say anything and walk away untouched. But this time, it wasn't working. His colleagues weren't defending him, the fans weren't forgiving him, and ESPN executives weren't ignoring the noise. This was no longer just about a single bad take. This was about whether Rex Ryan could continue as a credible face on ESPN and whether ESPN itself was willing to take the PR hit of keeping him front and center. And while all of this drama swirled around the network, Shedeur Sanders stayed silent. No tweets, no interviews, no rebuttals, just focus. And ironically, that silence only made Rex look worse. Because in a battle of words versus actions, the guy saying nothing but showing up to work will always look better than the guy making accusations he can't prove. It was clear by now. ESPN wasn't just facing a PR headache. They were facing a credibility crisis. And the way they handled Rex Ryan could define how fans viewed their coverage of Shedeur Sanders and young athletes like him for years to come. By the time the Rex Ryan controversy reached its peak, the story had stopped being about one analyst's reckless comments. It had become something much bigger, a case study in how sports media treats young, confident quarterbacks, and a spotlight on the double standards that have existed in the NFL for decades. Let's be real. Shedeur Sanders isn't the first rookie QB to come into the league with swagger. He isn't the first to believe in himself, to say he's ready, to want the ball in his hands. But the reaction he gets compared to others? That's what makes this so telling. When Baker Mayfield came into the league cocky and confident, analysts called it moxie. When Joe Burrow showed up in flashy sunglasses and talked like he belonged, they called it cool under pressure. But when Shedeur Sanders, a young black quarterback with an NFL Hall of Famer father, shows that same confidence, suddenly it's a problem. Suddenly, it's a sign that he doesn't work hard enough, doesn't study, doesn't respect the game. That's why this moment matters. Rex Ryan's attack wasn't just unfair, it fit into a much larger pattern. A pattern fans are sick of seeing. And this time, the pushback was strong enough to shake ESPN itself. But here's the irony. While Rex was busy attacking Shedeur's character, Shedeur himself was writing a completely different narrative, not with his words, but with his actions. In practice, coaches reportedly praised his ability to pick up the playbook. In his limited game snaps, he looked poised, decisive, and ready. Teammates quietly vouched for his work ethic. And most importantly, he kept his head down and stayed quiet, letting the media burn itself out. That silence was powerful. It made Rex Ryan look like he was yelling into a void, while Shedeur simply went about his business. Fans noticed. Analysts outside ESPN noticed. And slowly, the narrative shifted from "is Shedeur lazy?" to "why is Rex Ryan so obsessed with tearing this kid down?" This shift is dangerous for ESPN. The network has always thrived on debate and hot takes, but there's a fine line between debating performance and assassinating character. By letting Rex's comments air unchecked, ESPN now finds itself at the center of a debate about ethics, accountability, and fairness in sports journalism. And that debate isn't going away. Now, let's talk about what this means for Shedeur. The truth is, the Browns aren't trading him. Reports have made that clear. He's staying put, developing behind the veterans, and waiting for his shot. And if NFL history has taught us anything, it's that patience pays off. Patrick Mahomes sat. Aaron Rodgers sat. Even Tom Brady didn't walk in as the day one starter. Shedeur's time will come, and when it does, the receipts will be there. Every false narrative, every baseless attack, every reckless rant will be replayed. And fans will remember who doubted him, who defended him, and who tried to define him before he had a chance to define himself. For Rex Ryan, that's the nightmare scenario. Because when Shedeur eventually proves himself on the field, Rex's rant will look even worse in hindsight. It will be the clip that gets dragged back into the spotlight, the cold take that won't ever die. And for a man who built his post-coaching career on being credible in front of a camera, that's career-ending stuff. For ESPN, the question now is whether they want to keep letting analysts cross this line. Because fans are paying attention, players are paying attention, and the Sanders family has made it clear they won't just let these attacks slide. Here's the reality. This moment is bigger than Shedeur. It's about every young athlete who walks into the league and gets labeled before they ever play a meaningful snap. It's about the power of media to shape public perception and the responsibility that comes with it. And it's about whether networks like ESPN are willing to change how they cover rising stars in the age of social media, where every word is scrutinized and every narrative can be fact-checked in real time. As for Shedeur Sanders, his story is still just beginning. But one thing is certain: no amount of false claims, reckless rants, or media smear campaigns can change what happens when the lights turn on and the ball is in his hands. Sooner or later, his play will silence the noise. And when that happens, the only people embarrassed will be the ones who ever doubted him in the first place.